that we found out that Blake Lively's team, according to her attorney, is actually planning to file an amended complaint in their lawsuit against Justin Baldoni and others.
Justin Baldoni is not taking this sitting down aside, because I'm telling you, they are not going to win this.
Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni's legal battle has spiraled into one of the most explosive Hollywood feuds in recent history. What started as a lawsuit over claims of harassment and abuse has now escalated into a $400 million war that could destroy their reputations. But in a shocking turn of events, Blake Lively is now begging Justin Baldoni to drop the lawsuit. So why is she suddenly desperate to settle? And will Baldoni let her walk away? To understand why Blake Lively is pleading for this lawsuit to be dropped, we need to go back to where it all started. Initially, it was Blake Lively who took legal action against Justin Baldoni, setting off what would become one of Hollywood's most explosive legal battles. In her lawsuit, Lively accused Baldoni of fostering a toxic and hostile work environment while they were co-starring on the film It Ends With Us, an adaptation of Colleen Hoover's best-selling novel. The lawsuit contained shocking allegations, painting Baldoni as verbally abusive, manipulative, and prone to retaliation whenever Blake Lively pushed back against his behavior. According to Blake Lively, the tension between her and Baldoni began early in the production process. While she had originally been excited to take on the lead role, working alongside Baldoni, who was not only her co-star but also the film's director and producer, quickly became a nightmare. Blake Lively claimed that Justin Baldoni's controlling nature made the set an unbearable place to work, with him constantly belittling her, dismissing her creative input, and pressuring her to comply with his vision without question. His behavior went beyond typical director-actor disagreements and instead created an environment of fear and intimidation. One of the most damning accusations in Blake Lively's lawsuit was that Baldoni allegedly harassed her both emotionally and professionally throughout filming. She accused him of using his position as director to put her in uncomfortable situations, often under the guise of making the movie more authentic. Sources close to the production say that Lively was repeatedly pressured into reshooting emotionally distressing scenes, even when she expressed concerns about her well-being. She claimed that Baldoni would force her to stay on set for grueling hours, disregarding her exhaustion and pushing her past her limits. And that's not all. Blake Lively claimed that Justin Baldoni would publicly criticize her in front of the cast and crew, making it clear that he held all the power. According to insiders, Baldoni's behavior reportedly escalated whenever Blake Lively challenged him or voiced concerns about the way certain scenes were being handled. In one instance, Blake Lively allegedly confronted Baldoni about a last-minute script change that she felt was unnecessary and degrading to her character. Instead of having a professional discussion, Justin Baldoni allegedly lashed out, raising his voice and telling her that if she wasn't willing to do things his way, she could walk away from the film entirely. But Justin Baldoni didn't just deny Blake Lively's claims, he fought back hard. Instead of simply defending himself, he launched a massive lawsuit of his own, turning the legal battle into one of the ugliest Hollywood has seen in years.
And unlike any case that I've handled in my entire career, it's the one case we're going to put every single text message, every single document, everything on a website for everyone in the public to read, come to their own conclusions. There are evidence for all these points. There are text messages for all these points. And they can determine whether or not there was sexual harassment here, there was a smear campaign, or there was retaliation, because we have proof and receipts that absolutely and unequivocally show this is not true.
In his lawsuit, Baldoni accuses Blake Lively of deliberately destroying his career, costing him hundreds of millions of dollars, and leading a public smear campaign designed to ruin his reputation beyond repair. According to Justin Baldoni's legal team, this wasn't just a case of two people who didn't get along at work. They argue that Blake Lively's actions went far beyond personal disagreements. She was allegedly trying to take him down completely. His lawyers claim that after their working relationship fell apart, Lively began making damaging statements about him both publicly and privately, warning people in the industry that he was difficult, unprofessional, and toxic to work with. They say she used her influence in Hollywood to turn powerful people against him, slowly chipping away at his career behind the scenes. One of the biggest blows, according to Baldoni, came when he was working on what was supposed to be his biggest and most ambitious project yet, the movie adaptation of the novel It Ends With Us. Investors were on board, studios were interested, and everything seemed to be falling into place. Until, he claims, Blake Lively started spreading negative stories about him. His lawsuit states that after Blake Lively's accusations became public, key investors backed out, studios reconsidered their involvement, and the entire project began to fall apart. What should have been a defining moment in Justin Baldoni's career instead turned into a financial disaster, costing him not just a major film, but hundreds of millions of dollars in lost opportunities. But the alleged smear campaign didn't stop there. Justin Baldoni's legal team claims that Blake Lively used her Hollywood connections to control the narrative in the media, making sure that only her side of the story was heard. They argue that she fed damaging information to entertainment reporters, encouraged certain publications to run hit pieces against Baldoni, and even worked behind the scenes to limit his professional opportunities. They believe that Blake Lively wanted to make sure Baldoni wasn't just seen as a bad coworker. She wanted him blacklisted from the industry altogether. Now, Baldoni is determined to make her pay for the damage he says she caused. His lawsuit isn't just about clearing his name. It's about making sure Blake Lively faces real consequences for what he believes was a calculated and malicious attempt to destroy his career. With both stars locked in this bitter courtroom battle, the stakes couldn't be higher. For Justin Baldoni, winning this case could mean reclaiming his reputation and proving that he was wrongfully targeted. For Blake Lively, the situation has become even more dangerous. What started as her attempt to hold Justin Baldoni accountable has now spiraled into a legal nightmare, with the potential to end her career instead. So what exactly happened between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni? Blake Lively's original lawsuit painted a dramatic picture of what it was like to work with Baldoni. She didn't just claim that he was difficult, she described him as the most challenging person she had ever worked with. According to her, he created a toxic and hostile work environment that made the production process unbearable. Sources close to the project say that tensions between the two were high from the very beginning, and things only got worse as time went on. Eventually, their disagreements exploded into full-blown arguments, making it clear that their working relationship had completely fallen apart.
My experience with Blake Lively, we weren't allowed to talk to her on the set. We weren't allowed to ask for an autograph. We were, instructed, this way or that. We were treated like this. I mean, these things aren't coming because we're doing an investigation. These are completely organic. These are based on people's real life experiences.
But here's where things get complicated. Not everyone is backing Blake Lively's version of events. While a few crew members have come forward to support her claims, many others have stayed silent. This silence has raised serious questions about what really happened behind the scenes. If Baldoni was truly as bad as Lively says, why aren't more people speaking out against him? Wouldn't there be more voices confirming her story? Instead, the lack of widespread support has led to growing speculation that the full truth hasn't been revealed yet. What's even more suspicious, some of Blake Lively's former co-stars, people who have worked with her in the past and might have been expected to take her side, have chosen to distance themselves from the lawsuit entirely. They haven't spoken out in her defense, and they haven't condemned Baldoni either. In Hollywood, where loyalty and alliances can mean everything, this kind of silence is unusual. If Baldoni had truly been as toxic as Lively claims, wouldn't more industry insiders be taking a stand against him? Instead, the lack of vocal support for Lively has only added to the growing doubts surrounding her case. This uncertainty, combined with the setbacks her legal team has faced, may be why Lively is now scrambling to find a way out of this legal mess. She may have realized that the case isn't as strong as she originally thought, and that she's losing control of the narrative. But if she hoped that Baldoni would take pity on her and agree to settle quietly, she was very, very wrong. Here's where things get worse for Blake Lively. Her legal team has encountered a series of devastating setbacks in the courtroom, each one pushing them further into a corner. From the very start, they struggled to gain an upper hand, facing obstacle after obstacle as they attempted to build their case. Their most crucial mistake came when they tried to introduce what they believed was a crucial piece of evidence, only for the judge to reject it outright. This ruling immediately put them at a severe disadvantage, leaving them scrambling to compensate for the loss. Hoping to recover, Blake Lively's attorneys made a desperate request for more time to strengthen their arguments and gather additional support. However, the court was far from sympathetic. Instead of granting them the full month they had hoped for, they were given a mere extra day, an extension so minimal that it was practically useless. This left them with little opportunity to refine their strategy, making their already uphill battle even steeper. On the other side, Justin Baldoni's legal team wasted no time exploiting every misstep Lively's lawyers made. His legal team was precise, aggressive, and unrelenting, using every legal tool at their disposal to chip away at Blake Lively's defense. With each ruling in his favor, Baldoni's confidence soared. ignored, and it soon became clear to everyone watching that he was the one in control of the situation. Now with her back firmly against the wall, Blake Lively seems to be coming to terms with a harsh reality. Her chances of winning this fight in court are slipping away, but rather than accept defeat, she has begun shifting her strategy. If she can't win through legal means, she will attempt to win in another arena, public perception.
The idea that people think that they know you, I think because of how intrusive media is these days, people care so much more about your personal life than they do your work, and if you aren't open with your personal life, then they just make it up for you and share it for you.
In recent days, Blake Lively has taken a more public-facing approach, making carefully crafted statements and allowing key allies to speak on her behalf. She knows that even if the courtroom isn't on her side, public opinion can be a powerful weapon. If she can sway enough people to see her as the victim in this legal battle, she might still have a chance to turn the tide in her favor. The question now is whether this last-ditch effort will be enough to salvage what remains of her fight, or if Justin Baldoni's iron grip on the case is simply too strong to break. But here's where things took a twist. In a move that no one saw coming, Baldoni's legal team launched a bombshell, a massive 168-page website dedicated entirely to dismantling Lively's case and exposing what they claim are her alleged lies. The website is meticulously detailed, filled with text messages, emails, and behind-the-scenes accounts that tell a drastically different story than the one Lively has presented in her lawsuit. Instead of portraying Baldoni as the toxic, manipulative figure Lively has described, the website paints him as a professional who was blindsided by false accusations and unfair attacks. But the biggest revelation, some of the leaked messages appear to come from none other than Ryan Reynolds himself. According to Justin Baldoni's legal team, Ryan Reynolds allegedly sent messages to Baldoni before their professional relationship soured, expressing enthusiasm and support for their film project. In the messages, Ryan Reynolds allegedly praised Baldoni's vision and leadership, even going so far as to say he was excited to collaborate. If these messages are legitimate, they could completely contradict Blake Lively's claims that Baldoni was difficult to work with or had created a toxic environment. Instead, they suggest that, at least at one point, Blake Lively's own husband had no issue with Baldoni and may have even respected him. The release of this website sent shockwaves through the media and the public. Blake Lively's legal team reacted swiftly, filing an urgent request with the court to have the website taken down. They argued that it was nothing more than a calculated smear campaign designed to turn public opinion against her and sway the case outside of the courtroom. However, the judge was unmoved by their argument and ultimately denied their request. This ruling meant that Justin Baldoni's website and all the damaging evidence it contained would remain online for the world to see. With the walls closing in and her credibility being challenged, Blake Lively may have come to a sobering realization. This is no longer a battle she can win. Her legal options are dwindling. The court has refused to intervene on her behalf, and the public, once largely sympathetic, now seems divided at best. If she stays and fights, she risks further damage to her reputation and possibly losing everything. But if she backs down now, she might still be able to salvage what remains of her public image. Blake Lively may be incredibly wealthy, but even for someone of her status, losing $400 million would be a devastating blow. It's not just about the money, it's about everything that comes with it. A loss of this magnitude wouldn't just drain her finances, it could mark the beginning of a downward spiral that affects her career, her influence in Hollywood, and her carefully crafted public image. Blake Lively has built a brand based on relatability, elegance, and strength, but a courtroom defeat of this scale could shatter that image. Hollywood is unforgiving when it comes to scandal, and if she's seen as someone who tried and failed to take down a respected industry figure, she could face backlash not only from fans, but from producers, studios, and major industry players who might hesitate to work with her in the future.
Well, I actually knew of the film before I knew of Colleen's book, which is, so I know a unique entry point, but I think because I just have 1,000 children, I, have missed all of pop culture, and her significant impact in the world of books. I mean, so many of her books are on the New York Times bestseller. I mean, it's crazy.
With so much at stake, it's no surprise that sources close to the situation claim Lively has quietly reached out to Baldoni's legal team in hopes of reaching a private settlement before things spiral even further out of control. Her lawyers are reportedly exploring every possible option to mitigate the damage, knowing that a prolonged courtroom battle could only make things worse. But there's one major problem. Justin Baldoni isn't budging. winning. His team believes they have the upper hand, and after months of setbacks and missteps on Blake Lively's side, they're more confident than ever. They see no reason to settle, especially now that public perception is shifting in their favor. The launch of their 168-page website packed with evidence that contradicts Lively's claims has already dealt a massive blow to her case. Justin Baldoni's team knows they have momentum, and they're not willing to throw it away just to make things easier for Blake Lively. With the next court date looming, the pressure on Blake Lively is mounting. Every day that passes without a settlement brings her closer to a high-stakes showdown in court, one that could end in complete disaster for her. If Baldoni refuses to negotiate, her options will continue to dwindle. For Justin Baldoni, the stakes are just as significant, but the difference is that the momentum is on his side. If he wins, he won't just walk away victorious. He could secure a staggering $400 million payout, solidify his reputation, and publicly clear his name. His legal team has played their cards strategically, turning every one of Lively's missteps into an advantage. The release of their 168-page website, filled with damaging evidence and leaked messages, some allegedly from Ryan Reynolds himself, has already swayed public opinion in his favor. Now, they're prepared to deliver the final blow in court. One thing is clear, the final showdown is coming. And when it does, only one of them will walk away victorious. The other, they may never recover.